Hello, everybody. Welcome to the pink moon, the pink Libra moon, full moon. So let's just start off with why they call it a pink moon. I had to look it up too. There's a few names for this moon. A fish moon, grass moon. Pink moon sounds nicer though, especially when it's a Libra moon of all things, because usually that first full moon after the equinox, which is our Easter, our Passover, falls under Ramadan. Ostara is a Libra moon, and Libra is sort of a pink kind of color. At least you'd think so. You'd think so. But did you know that Vladimir Putin is a Libra? Not very pink. Did you know that Will Smith is a Libra? I debated whether to weigh in on the charts of Chris Rock and Will Smith and Jada Pinkett, and I decided not to. And I can't really tell you why. If you think it'd be interesting and you'd like me to, then please message below and I will. I guess I just found myself felt a bit tedious because it was just a disappointing moment for them all, you know. But a good diversion and distraction from Ukraine and from COVID-19. So all this to say though, Libra, usually people say, oh, well, they're balanced. No, Libras are here trying to balance things. They want things to be in balance, yes. They work hard in their own minds to balance things, but it doesn't mean that they are balanced. Not the ones I've met, and I've met many. They are constantly weighing things in their minds. Constant self-doubt. Because Libra is the scales of justice, and they're always weighing what's what, what's right, what's fair. Is this better than that? Is this the best way, or is that fair to them? Is this how it? And so when it says they balance things, no, they're endlessly doing this. And it's exhausting for them. You know, we're in the sign of Aries right now. The sun's in Aries and the moon's in Libra. So you have Aries, like, what? Just walk in the door and call it what it is. Just do it. Don't think about it so much. Just do it. Just go out and say it, call it like you see it. Don't hesitate. Don't even think about it. Right? And then you've got the full moon in Libra going, I don't know, is that the right thing? Is that the right thing? Is that fair? Is it the right? So this is the stress of a Libra full moon or an Aries full moon in the fall. The struggle between yourself and everyone else, others. Struggle between weighing things versus just doing it. The struggle between what's fair and what's true to me. Who's to say what's right? As an astrologer, I very rarely say that there's a right or a wrong. There's just different qualities that are going on and operating inside us. And so under a Libra moon, are we more likely to be weighing things? Are we needing to be social? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Libra moon needs people, needs social interaction, needs harmony and beauty and art. And it would be, you know, lovely if we weren't in a sixth wave during a time of a Libra moon, when if we didn't have to worry about COVID-19 safety. And some people are just going out anyway and aren't worrying about it, but there's still a hell of a lot of people worried, okay? So let's just say, wouldn't it be nice if everyone could feel at ease and just come out and socialize and meet and hug again, because the Libra moon is just going to make you want to like, oh, I need people. Libra moon is in love with love, loves the concept of love. Oh, romance is just this way and that way. They need that idealism of love. They also need that feeling of fairness. So this is where it can come out with a different edge, because we're in Aries. And Aries can sometimes show some anger, right? Some impatience. It's ruled by Mars. So we're going to look for that in the chart. What's the balance between the side of us that's probably going to find harmony or peace, or be looking for, you know, beauty or social life, versus the side of us that's going to say, hey, that isn't fair and I got to do something and that's not right. I'm going to charge in there. You know, how much emphasis is there on the self? Focus on yourself. Do what's good for you. Or is it time really of like, no, do good for the community, do good for others, focus yourself on others. So this is our classic dilemma under a Libra moon. And we're going to take a look at what other planets are going on to see what supports what in the chart. And before I launch in, I would just like to say, I have my book coming out. My next book is called Vibes from the Other Side, and it's coming out in May. And you can pre-order it pretty much since January, I believe. So if you haven't had a chance, you can pre-order your copy. I have a link down below. And I've been excitedly setting up book launch stuff, which is fun. So I will announce it to you here first before anybody else that I have a book launch in London, England at the end of May. And I'm so excited because, it's London. It's going to be at a shop called the Atlantis Bookshop, which turned 100 years old this year. It's the oldest pagan bookshop in London. And it's pretty cool for me personally. It feels like a big full circle moment because, as you know, the deck that I use, the Toth deck, created by Aleister Crowley, quite a controversial character, and genius and eccentric and brilliant and dark all at once. There's enormous extremes of light and dark in this tarot, and power in this tarot with this guy's knowledge. And I think that's what I gravitated to. I didn't know anything about the man. I felt sucked into this deck. I felt so intrigued by it. Nothing else captivated me the same way. And I've learned an enormous amount about life. And I really believe using the deck brought me into a certain vibe that allowed me to develop as a medium and to be far deeper and more accurate than other decks. So the cool thing for me is that the founder of that bookshop was friends with Mr. Crowley. So it's very possible that he was in those doors. And that's just cool. That's just cool for me. Not to mention the person who initiated the Wicca movement, reviving paganism all over the world, all over England. And Gerald Gardner, he used to practice and give his coven meetings in the basement of this bookshop. So I can't wait to feel what energy I'm going to feel in this place, you know. And the ladies there are lovely, and it's a family-owned bookshop for generations. And I'm just super excited. And I'm in touch with a couple of places in Edinburgh. So the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle Center, which would be very cool, because I also mentioned him in my book on the history of mediumship. And otherwise, there's a shop there that we're waiting to see. It's all COVID related, but he said, no, we don't trust the lockdowns won't come back. We don't trust what they say. So we're just gonna we'll just wait and see how it goes closer to the time, but it sounded promising. And then there's also the Edgar Cayce Center in New York that I'm starting to talk to. For me, this is big stuff, so I thought I would share it. Now, if you enjoy my content and you would like to support me in any way, that would be lovely. I have a Patreon site for that. One is just for general support. The second tier is for my membership group, which I'm still setting up, but it's going to kick off in May. I'm calling it a Sacred Vibes Community based on the book. But what I'm doing in this community is, and it is a trend now in our field to do membership communities. And I'm really glad, because it's been very hard to maintain and build communities online. You know, we all know how certain platforms have just devolved into trolling, and we don't even necessarily know if the person who's commenting is who they say they are, or just stirring up something like a controversy for nothing. And a lot of people just boycott Facebook, right? Oops, I said it anyway. So I'm going to manage this group more through Patreon, which already makes me feel a bit better. And I will be able to facilitate an actual nice group dynamic and make sure that people are heard and are being respected. And I'm very good at doing that. I don't have any trouble facilitating and making sure things are fair. And so just to set that tone, that's what I'm excited about for a membership community, because then with the right energy, the right respect, now we can delve into all these other spiritual topics together. Now you can have a space to explore and share where you won't be trolled, and reactive comments will not be tolerated. So I'm going to be giving a free video course that comes with that membership that I'm still working on. Videos, a series will be all about what is a sacred life. And very often we think sacred means religious. Not to me. It includes religious, but it doesn't have to mean religious. For somebody, a flower is sacred. Doesn't have to have a denomination to it. Some people, that sense of sacredness comes from their religion, and other people it comes from nature, and other people it comes from their sense of themselves and their personal symbolism, what's going on in your life. Some people, a song could be sacred to you. It's whatever triggers the deepest sense of you connecting to yourself and to your values and your truest beliefs about the universe. And I don't care what denomination that falls under. So on that note, the course will talk about different aspects of this, and the group discussions will go into all kinds of different things, cross-denominational symbolism, as well as things from the book, of course, stuff about spirits, spirit guides, mediumship, animal totems, kids that are seeing apparitions and spirits that have psychic abilities, young pets that are acting as familiars or healers, alerting you to things, anything that, the fairy realm, or for some of you, it might be other interdimensional beings that you're encountering in some way once in your lifetime, or maybe all the time. I'm really leaving it a wide open net to what people want to explore. And then I will, put in really good stuff for deep thought, but a lot of stuff for just little facts, a little interesting thing there. Topics of discussion, and a lot of stuff to inspire and soothe. And I will be doing lives as well with the final tier of the group, where I'm, and this is my intention to grow this more and more as we go along. At first, it's just going to be probably monthly. I will give some sort of talk, a guided meditation, and I'll facilitate a group discussion and question and answer that you can come on to. And I'm really hoping that that continues to grow so that that might become even a weekly thing where we can meet sort of in the Buddhist tradition, you'd say in a sangha, you know, in some sort of spiritual community that has first I have to set the right tone. So people feel like this is a cool, safe space to be in. And then we'll just let this grow organically from there. So you can find all of those links to the book and to the group, the the membership and everything in the links below. So let's dig into this astrology chart and see what the advice is for this month, for this moon. Alrighty, share the screen. Here we go. Always takes a second. My computer's slow. I wonder if anyone else is going through that. All right, here we go. So as you see, it's cast for Saturday, the 16th, 2:55 p.m. if you're in the Eastern time zone. So anybody in the Eastern Seaboard, the ascendant in the houses makes sense for you. If you're in the UK or the West Coast, it's going to shift. The houses will shift and the influences where they fall will shift. So, but I like to make it specific for the location that I'm in and the people following who are in this general time zone. So it has a Virgo rising. Here's our moon down here in Libra in the second, not just shy in the third house. That's even more emphasis on communities, neighborhoods, chit-chatting with people. Yeah, really strong social pull. And our sun is over here in Aries, as you can see in the 9th house. The 9th house is all about foreign travel, exploration, anything outside the country or far distances, exotic, if you will. So that's another focus based on the houses. The sticking in my neighborhood or getting out there in the big wide world. Maybe you're torn between that too. And it's a Virgo as the rising sign. Now, you know, whenever Virgo is the rising sign of any energy, it's going to calm it down because it's Earth and it's all about details. And so it tends to, you know, analyzing the details or needing to call things or say it in the right way or the right words or splitting hairs sometimes or just being, you know, Virgo is also the sign of service. So, you know, serving others, accommodating, going into service mode, you know, that diffuses a lot of fieriness or drama, if there is any. So Virgo rising comes across as, you know, a little more cool, a little more detached, not like cold, but just rational. It's going to come across as more analytical, rational, academic. And again, like maybe skeptical is like the dark, you know, skeptical or picky can be signs of Virgo too. But with the Libra moon, like this need to be with others and this need for things to be fair with the Virgo rising, there might be a lot of acts of service that we see over the weekend, you know? I was inspired to do it just yesterday. I donated money to an animal rescue mission in the Ukraine because it just breaks my heart to see all these pets are being abandoned or don't have food. And I mean, I wish that I had a lot, Elon Musk's money to give towards, you know, saving people and animals. But anyway, he's going to buy Twitter instead. So. Okay, now let's take a look. Well, we've got an overall feeling to me of this chart is sort of half-mast. Like, you see there's a lot of blue lines, so that's a lot of easy aspects, compatibility, things that flow. There's a little bit of the red lines, as you see, but for some reason the blue lines are really dominating it, aren't they? Well, that's how I see the chart. The blue lines dominate the red. And that means to me there's more a state of compatibility and flow and ease than there is the conflict. Yay, right? If anything, wouldn't it be nice if things were a bit boring compared to the way they've been? Now, before we get into the harmonious stuff, we'll end it on the high note. Let's take a look at what is conflicting, because it's Pluto. The moon square Pluto is power trips and, explosive moods, manipulation sometimes. Pluto in Capricorn with the moon in Libra. That need to please encounters somebody who's willing to let you please them. That's more of like instead of like an equal thing, because Capricorn and Libra are both cardinal signs and both fierce in their own way. And if they square off, they should be equal, but it's not really, because Pluto is so much more intense and like Darth Vader, think of like, that's Pluto energy, just magnetic, powerful, quick to transform things. Sometimes, destructive, sometimes liberating. And then you've got this little moon in Libra, like, please like me, please let things be pretty and fair and nice. So it's not a true opposition square, it's more like a dominant. So, some of you might relate to that side of the chart where you feel like, is there a bit of a bully thing going on? Is someone wanting you to submit to their will? That can be a moon Pluto thing with Libra Capricorn. Now, on the other hand, Pluto's squaring the sun in Aries, different story. Sun in Aries will tell Pluto where to stick it. Sun in Aries would be like, you think you're going to tell me what to do? So it's very interesting then, if you encounter the Pluto energy, this moon cycle, meaning, a very powerful, pushy, dominant, bully-like, controlling kind of force. Someone wants to go deep down into the shadows and the dark side all the time, and the heavy stuff, the covert stuff. And you feel like, oh no, this is not what I want to be doing. So if you encounter that, well, are you going to choose the moon in Libra? You're just going to please them and go until you can get out of there? Or are you going to choose Aries and go, maybe not? Or why don't you stick it? Or just completely rise up and rebel against it? So that's one of our choices in that. That's sort of the main square going on. Now, there is another square here, you see? It's hitting the nodes. So, we can feel that, but not as, and maybe not as personally as the moon and Pluto or the sun and Pluto. So the south node here is in Scorpio, and it's squaring off here with Mars and Saturn. Now, already that diffuses it, because Mars is our passion and action planet, right? Like Mars is that warrior planet. Mars rules Aries, and it's needs to be, quick and expedient, and probably like maybe destructive or maybe heroic. Could be either one. When you unleash a fire, you don't know. Now, Mars is in Pisces. No, no, no. This is the fire. Okay, I have my candle. So if this is Mars, Mars in Pisces is like, okay, it started to rain on the candle. How's the candle going to stay lit if it starts raining? But you know, sometimes it does, but so Mars in Pisces is not a fiery aspect at all. It's not an aggressive aspect at all. It's not an assertive or decisive aspect. Mars in Pisces diffuses the fire. So what they're good at, which is nicer in a way, it's a nicer quality, is Mars in Pisces is very good at tuning in and feeling things out and intuiting and being creative or maybe escapist. But it's going to be much more like, ooh, instead of fighting, like they might just, I'm getting a vibe and I'm just going to go somewhere else. You know, they don't dash into the fire. They go spaced out, gonna go, or let's go scroll instead, or play my video game, or have a drink instead, because I'm not, no. So then you get Saturn on top of it. Saturn's in Aquarius. We've talked about that before. Restructuring, you know, in a major way. Reordering and rethinking and rebuilding a new foundation that's built on something very different and rebellious, eccentric, diverse. What's that foundation going to look like, you know? But that's what they're trying to do. Now, Saturn teaches us, but it restricts us. It sort of says, let's consolidate this. Let's make a foundation, and got to keep this together to make a foundation. You can't be all over the place here. So if Mars right now we're in a fiery sign and it was ready to act and do and go, and Saturn comes along, it's like, are you sure about that? Maybe a little bit impulsive. Maybe think about that first. And Mars would be like, are you? You're frustrating me. So that would be if Mars was in a fiery sign under Saturn. It would still restrict the Mars, the impulsivity, the aggression side of Mars, the action side of Mars. Saturn comes along and goes, you can't get what you want. But Mars is in Pisces, so Saturn doesn't have much of a job there, does it? It's like Saturn comes along and says, are you sure this is the way I think? And Mars in Pisces goes, I think I'll just take the side door. Or they just go, yeah. And they're not going to fight it. They might go very inward about it, though. They might write a song about it, or they might have nightmares about it, but they're not going to act. So you've got this potential, you know, of Mars square with the South Node, which could sometimes activate things, you know, different directions in our karma. When it squares off with the nodes, it's like, ooh, Mars and Saturn, what's it teaching us about our karma right now? But then that teaching side of it is just going, it's too flat. So are we going to see a big turn in the direction of things? I'm not feeling it, not right now. We have an eclipse coming on the 30th, though. Watch out for that. Eclipse season is when we're going to see rock and roll. So April 30th, and then again in 2 weeks in the middle of May, another eclipse. That's when you're going to see boom, 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 actions. That might be true in the globe and could be true for you as well. So maybe this full moon you get a bit of a taster, but I don't see a lot of action or pressure. And the other thing is that Mars Saturn that we just talked about squaring off here with Uranus. Now Uranus is going to be like, enough of that, enough. Just going to want to come in there quickly and go, I don't like what I'm seeing. I'm taking off here, or I'm going to swoop into this meeting and go, that doesn't make sense. And then I'm going to leave, or I'm going to light a little bomb on something, a little wake up, shake up in there. Yeah, it's possible. It's possible that it's a bit of a shake up thing. It's conjunct the North Node and Mercury in Taurus. Well, okay, we've talked a lot about Uranus and Taurus now, every time. Little earthquakes, little explosions, little upheavals in our daily life, in our financial life, in all the things we considered secure. But North Node in Taurus wants things to be secure again. Thank you very much. Wants things to be normalized and stabilized, and know what our groceries are supposed to cost, and that they're going to be on the shelf, and they want to know what the rent is, and that it's stabilized, and they want to know who's loyal and who's not. So the North Node's pulling us there. Uranus is the one going, maybe not yet, or, oh, ouch, that hurt. Now I have to adapt to that. That wasn't very secure. And Mercury's there emphasizing the stable side of Taurus, maybe suppressing Uranus a little bit there. I'm not getting a huge eventful full moon. However, sometimes, the chart can say one thing and then things happen very differently in the world. But the overall feeling I'm getting, just as a psychic with the chart, is it's a pretty uneventful, passive kind of moon. Now, that doesn't mean there isn't a lot going on internally. So some of these inner conflicts or energies we're describing could be going on. You could be weighing things, like we said, Moon and Libra, you could be weighing things endlessly right now. And some of these little earthquakes go off. You might be wondering about your long-term security with all that Taurus focus. Where am I going to end up? What do I want? What does that look like? What does financial or home or job security look like to me now? You might be pondering that, but it doesn't mean you're going to take action on anything yet. Now let's look at where things are flowing nicely, because that Mars and Saturn we mentioned, this, restricting the empath is sort of like this one. Saturn in Aquarius, Mars in Pisces is like, it's like a very lively, eccentric teacher with a kid who's an artist and doesn't want to talk that much. It's sort of energy. Now, that's making a really nice aspect, both of them, to the moon. So that's sort of nice. That, again, you're taking away from the explosivity that it could have been, and you're adding something nice to help that moon in Libra that wants to just be things to be more pleasant and more fair and more beautiful and more harmonious. So this is great for any of you who just don't like conflicts and want to bloody break from it. This is more of a peace-seeking type of moon. Now, we also have really nice aspects. This Mars and Saturn again, look at here. It's also making nice aspects to the sun. Look at that. What the heck does that mean? Well, this is a sextile. It's not as strong as a trine. Trine is the easiest, strongest flow. The sextile is like a workable flow. So it sort of, to me, says, well, whatever you choose, whether you're going to put the group first or other people's needs first, and you're balancing that out, or whether you say, no, it's my turn, it's my time. I got to think of myself right now. Seems to support you, whichever choice. But the stronger choice would be the trine, and that would be get outside, go say hello to people, knock on people's doors, see if everyone's all right, go walking about, go try to, my advice, my personal advice, try to break some of the social isolation and social anxiety. Just do what you feel comfortable with and get outside and be around people again, so that you don't stay in this isolation, afraid of the world, afraid of people, afraid of Like always being afraid and being locked down and is not healthy for anybody. The moon in Libra will hopefully encourage you to just go for a walk. Go to a dog park. I don't care. Go see life. Go walk somewhere you've never walked. You know, I did that today because I had such a wanderlust, and I'm feeling this full moon, and I just needed to get out the door and see something else than my typical walk and my typical house and my typical village. So I took a bus and I went to a different cafe in a different neighborhood, and I didn't feel like going straight home on the bus. I felt like exploring, so I walked up a beautiful street just to look at the houses, and I arrived at a golf course, and I'm like, oh, that's nice. There were beautiful houses on the golf course, so I kept walking in, and then I walked around the golf course, and then I walked through the woods of the golf course and up a muddy steep hill and ended up at another street and walked around and came back to the bus. And it did me so much good. That was safe. I wasn't around anyone. No one bugged me. I mean, it would have been fine if I saw people. I still waved to people on the way, and I still said hello to people when I was sitting in the cafe. But I mean, it just does you so much good to go see something new, explore. There's very often you get stuck in your routines, and then you feel imprisoned by your routines. Many people can. And so all you've got to do, even if you don't get on a plane, is just go explore your own backyard and do something new. And that can help that sense of beauty and harmony and feeling connected and feeling inspired by something else. And you never know who you might meet along the way. So the other aspects that are looking nice is this here. You see this big trine there? So our South Node in Scorpio is making really nice aspect, touching Venus, Neptune, and Jupiter, all in Pisces. So look at all that Pisces. Even though we're in Aries right now with a Libra moon, this is a very Piscean vibe, which is interesting, So that's also why when you got all that Pisces and you've got a Libra moon, those are the two most peace-loving, compassionate, passive signs. This is a good time to be socializing, relaxing, doing your art, listening to music, relax yourself, get your mind off of, big stuff and news and conflict and drama if you can. This is going to be a good moon for that. So all of that compassion and creativity, and again, it's in the 7th house, which is partnerships, relationships again. Could be a great moon for those of you with love. I can never predict everyone's going to fall in love or meet somebody ever, it's ridiculous. But it's in the air if you're open to it. And it's also, it's touching the South Node. So it's sort of bringing people karmically into your life. Could be interesting as well. I mean, that can sometimes, as we know, be difficult, but sometimes it can be really beautiful, right? Like maybe you run into somebody and you feel like you've known them for years. That's the kind of vibe, that Scorpio South Node could give you, is like, we've known each other for lifetimes. And again, that's in the 3rd house of neighborhoods and people and siblings and chit chatting. And then it's with the 7th house, all relationships and partnerships. So there's a super strong emphasis on just really being creative and relaxed and social and reaching out to people and seeing how they're doing, chilling out. So I'm going to leave it at that because I just think that we all desperately need that. And if you can go for a beautiful walk and see some of these pink flowers that the moon is named for, the phlox. Around here, they're more blue. We see the little blue crocuses and stuff, but in different places, if you think of like You know, if you're more in the States, you might have magnolia trees. Some places probably have, I believe what else was pink? Well, yeah, no, it's Japan also with like magnolia trees. Yeah, it's a gorgeous time right now to remember that there is beauty in the world and there is hope. It's spring, it's Easter, it's Passover, it's Ostara, it's Ramadan, it's the rebirth of spring, of growth, and try to let yourself be inspired and motivated by that in a bigger way than just, oh yeah, it's spring. No, it happens every year. It happens whether there's a war or not. No matter whether there's COVID or not, the flowers come up. It's very hopeful because just like nature keeps going, regardless of what's happening, if the conditions are right and it can adapt, it comes back. And we have to do that too. All right, let's move to the tarot now. Let's see what that has to say for us. Stop the sharing. There we go. All right. Let's take a look and see what our tarot says for the rest of the insights. All right. I mentioned the Bach flower remedies last time. I wonder if anybody got a chance to try them. There are definitely remedies that can help with almost any emotional state. If you want to look them up again, it was Bach flower remedies. This is walnut. That was protection. Then I mentioned clematis. Clematis is for when you feel spaced out and overwhelmed and you can't decide what to do. And there's so many things on your mind, you can't pick one. So that sort of fits with the Pisces feeling. And then I mentioned gentian, yeah, which is for your will. If you're having trouble having the will to do things, the motivation, or to follow through and get them done, I take the gentian. But those are just a few, but I just thought I'd remind people because people wrote to me afterwards to say that they were going to try them. All right, so our first card here is the Princess of Wands. And this is all about a fiery, spontaneous person, you know, a warrior spirit. And at the same time, you see that there's this tiger hanging from her neck. So we don't know whether she's being carried upwards in this flame or whether the flame is shooting upwards and the tiger could be pulling her down. It's hard to know, is this going upwards or downwards, this fire? You know, and it's sort of blowing this other fire to the other side with its strength. So this is a fierce will, either way. So maybe, hopefully, you feel a little bit of that fire in you, or this could be someone around you. Usually she's pretty direct and spontaneous, very Aries-like card. Oh, and then our next card is more like a Virgo. Or a Taurus. This is the Princess of Discs. Now, they're both princesses, but she's definitely more grounded. So tends to be more responsible and more mature. This is maybe someone young, but you completely trust her. You can put your faith in her. She's good for her word. She's got the skills. Maybe doesn't have the means or the status of a queen, but she'll get there because she's very, very capable. So maybe this is you again, or someone that you know. Interesting, it's all about people on a Libra moon. Let's see. And we've got our 9 of discs, so gain or wealth card. So Venus and Virgo card. Well, Venus and Virgo, you know, would be keeping track of every expenditure and making a budget. It's like an accountant type of card. But it's gain. People think, oh, gain, lottery, woohoo. This is the kind of gain that came from being smart. This is the gain from an investment, from budgeting, so you saved. You know, you worked for it. You get money, but you worked for it. So this is a good omen for all of us that are feeling ready to work harder or want to make more money or want to be smarter with our money. Good time of year to do it, to rethink your stuff and your budget as we go forward. And we've got the Two of Wands, Mars and Aries, which is usually an argument or a fight or a battle of wills. We'll take a look and see, you know, what cards are around that, why there's a fight or a battle. But, you know, that's in the air. We saw it in the chart. And of course, it's everywhere in the air. In the news, like, when isn't there like people debating and opposing each other these days? So, you know, it's just all around us. We have choices whether we just take that momentary step back where you don't react right away. So just maybe you want to be careful of reacting strongly or quickly. That's the Aries side. And then we've got our Queen of Discs. So another person, interesting. Queen of Discs is, you know, the grown up, established, has a house, has her helpers, has her staff, has her, you know, this is like a mature, wealthy businesswoman. Very resourceful. You know, this is someone you'd go to for advice, maybe not emotional advice, might not be her strength, but you'd certainly go to her if you wanted to have practical advice on a lot of things. So it's interesting. We've got all these people around and money and conflict, and then this person. If you run into anything distressing or conflictual in and around aspects of work or money, maybe this could be representing somebody that you would ask for help or advice. And we've got the Four of Swords, which is a Libra card, Jupiter in Libra. So just emphasizing, go out there and meet people, talk, network, pick up the phone, send the email, say, hey, I haven't talked to you in months. Have you been? Hey, you crossed my mind the other day. Hope you're well. This is like, reach out from the heart, reach out. And I mean, the card says truce. Some of you might feel like maybe that's the conflict and you want to resolve it. Maybe there's a laying down of swords with somebody. Maybe you want to make amends or a truce with somebody that's been conflicting. It can be both. It's just the act of coming to the table and talking is this card. And breaking through, you know, the head noise and just speaking in a clearer way and trying to get on the same page as other people. So that can be a fun thing, or that could be that you say, hey, so-and-so, it's been forever. I'd like to resolve what stands between us. It's up to you. The planets are so soft, it might be a good time to make amends. And then we got our good old Hangman. So that throws a monkey wrench in the rest of it, because the rest of the cards are lighter, faster. The Hangman is, as you can see, like a slow kind of sacrifice. You're suspended, you're waiting. Waiting for what? That's how it feels. You know, we're all in the Hangman since COVID. The Hangman is a very slow, painstaking, can't see tomorrow kind of feeling. It's a one day at a time card. But then what you'll find is the snake is down here underneath his head, and the ankh and another snake on his ankle up above. This is a profound shift of consciousness going on. It's just that it happens in a crappy way where you feel stuck and where you feel like you can't see 2 steps ahead. We're all in this right now with COVID, these last couple of years. You're going to find, though, as the Hangman will say, through the sacrifice, the slow daily sacrifices you've made, and we've all made them regardless of what side of the fence you're on with any of it, with vaccines or whatever, I don't care. Everyone on some level has been making a sacrifice in their, whether you think they have or they haven't, to that person, they've been sacrificing. Everybody on some, and some are more at peace with making a sacrifice, and some rebel against the sacrifice. But what you see at the end of the Hangman is you come out and you have transformed. You're not the same person. Slowly, slowly, you grew into something more mature, hopefully, but there'll be a lot of that. But you won't be the same person you were. If you turn back to March 2020 and you think about now, you're not the same person. And so it just sucks that you feel stuck while you're doing it. But that's why there are certain transformations of consciousness, okay, that would never have happened if you weren't immobilized. Humans would, we would just avoid it. We would just run away from it or find another thing to distract ourselves. And the Hangman comes along and says, you're staying put now. This is like a rehab card, This is like a jail card, almost a detox card. You're staying put, and your task is to go to a higher level of consciousness. Now we got another person arriving, Queen of Wands. Now we have the mature queen of the fire. Wow, it's interesting. We got the princess and the queens, both of them. So now we have, and I mentioned that remedy, the gentian. This lady won't have any trouble with her willpower. She will take charge. She will grab this leopard by the head. She's got her mega wand. She's got all those flames around her head, around her crown. She's got a lot of strength and wisdom and insight. Now, again, she's not an emotional card. She's not who you go to spill your guts about your trauma. She's who you go to when you need to take strong, bold action, when you need to put yourself first, when you need to find that inner warrior, when you need somebody who's dynamic, who can make things happen for you. So hopefully you've got someone around like that in your midst, or maybe you are that person. And then we've got the moon card. Well, the moon also throws a monkey wrench, because the moon brings up things that are elusive or shadowy or not so clear or murky emotionally, or stuff in the background that it's there, but did you know? So that's very interesting. I think we have to pull one more card to dignify the moon. We've got the 10 of Wands. That's the oppression card. You don't feel free. Well, with the Hangman, the strong will, the moon, and the oppression card, a lot of people feel like there is an energy in the air the last few days where people feel like they're going to lose it. So if you've been having any of those feelings, I've had them fleeting, where I wake up and I feel like I'm going to lose my, if I don't do something else or move or get out of here, and I think this Hangman lockdown energy has accumulated to that point, and it's spring, and normally we have a restless rebirth messiness in spring at some point, before we settle into summer. It's normal, but maybe this one is a bit more intense. I'm going to pull one more to dignify. Okay, good. And we have the two of swords, which is the moon in Libra. So here's what I'm going to say. I would say do your best to let any of these crazy suppressed emotions of the last couple years, try to find a safe, good, healthy, non-destructive way to let it out of you. You need a release. Maybe you could let yourself have a good cry, Or you know what? On the other hand of it, there are services where you can go and rent a room and they give you a sledgehammer and you can break shit if you need to do that and get it out of your body. One therapist years ago told me to scream underwater. Nobody will hear you. That is an excellent one. You can do that in the bathtub. You can do it in the swimming pool, but you can do it in the tub. A full body scream. You don't have to have a reason. You're just letting out all the frustration and all the waiting and all the being pent up and all the not knowing. It builds up in our body and our nervous system, and then it can wing out, with people losing it. And we don't want to do that. This is a peaceful moon. So even if I was feeling that way, I don't want to act out on that and harm myself or anyone else in the process, right? By my impatience. So trying to find an outlet for that. Like all the ones I mentioned are good, but another great one is sing. Sing, find somewhere to sing loud. Go in your car, I don't care, go in the shower. Sing. That's going to let out a lot of energy. Physical exercise is a good one too. If you like to run, if you can sweat. Lifting weights, yeah, but when you're letting out anger and you're using physical activity, you have to be careful not to injure yourself too, especially with an Aries Libra thing. The full moon, maybe not, but definitely let it out in some way, because this is a peaceful end. This is like a releasing of pent up, yuck. And it looks positive to me that there's lots of people around to go to speak to. To me, this is looking like we're well surrounded here if we reach out and try to release some of the pent up, built up stagnancy of the last couple of years as you can. So let's make that our question for the signs. Let's make that our question. What do you need to release? What is pent up in you? What would help you the most to release right now? This is gonna be chunky. When isn't it chunky when I'm doing readings? That's thanks to Mr. Crawley. There is no superficial, shallow, light, easy answers with the Thoth deck, but that's why I love it. So let's see. Thinking about what do we need to release? What has been building up in you? So spreading them out nice here. Probably hear it. Okay, Aries, what do you need to release? Prince of Discs. You may need to release an actual person, meaning it's time to let go or detach yourself from a certain relationship with a guy who has these qualities. This is somebody usually sort of lazy, sort of self-indulgent, doesn't follow through for sure. Sometimes he can be really entitled and feel like the world owes him. He shouldn't have to work hard for things. You've probably been let down by him. Not very consistent, and sometimes he just has this very self-involved, self-absorbed attitude. So this could be an actual person that you might want to be reassessing and releasing. Now, you don't have to break up or let go or stop talking to the person, but you might need to just think about how much energy you give, or, just set different boundaries with that person. And that might be frustrating you more than you know, because it's coming up as what you need to release. Now, could also be, if this describes you, if you're not following through and not stepping up and not being reliable when you should be, or if you feel like oh, how come it's so hard? Or how come people aren't doing this for me because I need it? And how they should do this. Maybe you've got to release some of that for your life to get better. So yeah. Taurus, what do you need to release? It's another person. My God, this whole moon is about people, relationship, re-juggling the board again. So what you got to release? Well, you've got a Queen of Cups. You've got an emotional, sentimental person who's very caring and nurturing and motherly, but maybe living in the past or living in their memories too much, or can't seem to overcome their sensitivities, or they're taking things very personally, or they're daydreaming a lot. This might be you. This might be someone close to you. Once again, like the advice for Aries, it doesn't mean break up or walk away, but it might just mean, how can I relate differently to this person? How can I reconfigure this relationship? What side of me is being triggered? What can I, and if it's you who's acting in that way, then you just want to ask and check in with yourself if those traits are matching you, and could you work on releasing that? Because this is just the question I asked was sort of identifying where is there a source of frustration that you need to release to feel better. Alrighty, Geminis. Oh, that's a nice card. Priestess. What do you need to release? Well, interesting, because this is a card of following your intuition. This is your divine feminine energy, that side of you that trusts your gut, that trusts your dreams, that you know that you will get your own answers from within, not from other people. So how would you apply that? Well, if you're not doing that, then maybe that's what you need to let go, being able to actually let go so you trust yourself more. Letting go of the critical side that might dismiss or not honor the intuition you're getting. Allowing things to be what they are. Really opening your arms to your feminine energy. So being receptive, listening to your dreams. This isn't a bad thing at all. This is just a strong message that you need to trust your intuition much more. Trust your inner life much more. All right, Cancers, what do you need to let go of here? Well, Cancer. Seven of Swords. This is usually my card of moving on, moving away, walking away. This card says futility. In other decks, you'll see somebody walking off into the sunset and just dropping their sword or their scarf, or like, it's literally the card that says sort of screw it, walk away. And that's so hard for a Cancer to do. It's an Aquarius card. Moon in Aquarius is just the opposite of a Cancer. Cancer is bleeding and feeling for everyone. Moon in Aquarius is like, so what? Just detached, not taking it personally. If there's anything or anyone that you need to just drop it and walk away. It could be pretty dramatic. Just because we're not used to doing that when you're a Cancer. You're used to, oh, but how do they feel? And but that's not very nice, or but I care about them, but they need someone to take care of them. Now, I mean, when the Seven of Swords shows up, I bet you there's someone in your life, Cancer, where you're just like, I'm done. So let yourself do it. Let yourself do it. All right, you're erring more on the Sun and Aries side of this moon, not the Moon and Libra pleaser side. All right, Leos, what do you need to release or let go of? Well, that's funny. The Magician, letting go. Well, The Magician, you know, is my entrepreneur, multitask, master. What am I saying? Jack of all trades, right? I was getting master of all trades. No, it's jack of all trades. So if you were to let go based on this card, could it be that you are taking on too much at once? Could it be that you've stretched yourself too thin? You're trying to do too many things at once. Could it be also the Magician can still be very, you know, they're in charge, right? It's their project, it's their design. Could you need to let go of a little bit of the reins, controlling the process or the outcome? Can you trust the people around you a little bit more? Can you not feel you need to oversee every little bit? There's multiple things to consider there with the Magician. But the one that's standing out to me the most for some reason is the stretch too thin message. If you're overwhelming yourself in any way, you might need to delegate or step back. All right, Virgo, what do you need to release or let go of? You got the Star. Well, the Star is all about your ideals and your dreams. We'd never tell you to let go of those. So have you? Have you let go of your dreams? During COVID, it's probably pretty hard to say that, oh yeah, I have big dreams. My dreams will happen one day. During this weird period of time that we're in, you might have lost touch with what your dreams are, what your ideals are. It would be good for you to revisit and still have them. And you might want to just rethink them. You know, maybe it's a matter of taking a look at, well, what's been my typical dream that I keep alive regardless of how times have changed or how I've changed. Maybe you need to go back in and ask yourself, oh, you know what, that I could alter that, or maybe it's slightly different than what I thought, or this aspect of the dream is more what I care about now than the whole picture. Something like that. It's not a bad thing at all to tell you, you know, don't lose sight and don't give up on your dreams. Libras, now you might feel this moon particularly intensely since it's full in your sign and you got all those other aspects touching you. So Libra, what do you need to release or let go of? You got Strength card, Moon in Sagittarius. Well, that's sort of a funny thing to say, right? When people have such a perception of Libra and they're not what you think. Sorry, but they're not. So Libra, you need to actually, I would say, let go of a certain dominance or stronghold that you might have. Now, most Libras will tell me, well, I don't have a stronghold, or I don't have control or power over anything. I'm the victim usually in the situation. I'm just going with the flow, or I'm just trying to get them to talk to them, or I'm just trying to understand and going back and forth. What a lot of Libras don't realize is that in your attempt to be in negotiation or mediate, or you do have a stronger role than you want to admit. You know, standing back and refusing to take a stance and still maintaining in the middle of people, for example, you still have a power in that triangle. And it's not always a very productive one if we don't know where you stand. Or some Libras, I've seen some Libras, not all of them, but some will play one off of the other. They're trying to understand the situation, but they're actually playing one off of the other. So, maybe you're doing it, or maybe you're in the middle of that with someone else. But there's a feeling of a stronghold that needs to be relaxed. And what I mean by that is let people know where you stand on it and stop fueling any kind of fire or triangles that are going on. I think that's actually feels pretty bang on to what the message is. Take a look at any triangles and stop the triangles. Whether you feel you're implicated in one and you feel victimized or stressed by it, step out. Alrighty. Oh, that was a deep, anyway, it's full moon for you, so deep message. Scorpios. Ah, that's nice. 2 of Cups. Lovey-dovey card. Well, nothing to let go of there. So it's a good card. So what's that mean? Well, you might want to be letting go of any old pains or betrayals or beliefs that might be standing in the way of you finding this beautiful romantic love. Because the love card is in the air for you. The South Node's hitting your sign, and it's trying all of these beautiful Pisces planets. It could be a very nice time for you to connect emotionally, fall in love, or deepen the love you have. So that would be the only thing I would say is there a way you can let the love you have deepen? Is there a way you can open the door to it more and just take a look at what comes up along the way? And very often it's old, it's old stuff to release. It's nothing to do with your capacity in the present or being cursed in the future or something. It's you almost always projecting, dragging the old into the present. Because I love that there's a love energy in the air for you right now. All right, we're at Sagittarius now. What do you need to let go of? Now you got the burnout card, so you're doing too much. You got too many people on yours, too many projects, too many people, too much. This is my burned out card. If you take a look, imagine this is the neck and it's a head or a face. And you can see this is the tree of life. These are the 10 Sephora on the tree of life. And the top ones, which are considered the highest, your connection to spirit, to God, to whatever, to your higher self, it's got like a red cloudy fog around it. So that's why you're burnt out. That's why you're taking on too many things and overwhelming yourself. What you're actually doing is blocking yourself from going to the next level of consciousness, which might be scary, might be cool, but might be scary. So instead it's like, oh, I'm going to just fill myself with too many things and projects and people so that I don't have any room to allow what's actually going on in me and to clear your head. It's a Pisces card, so there's a lot of intuition and emotion in this card. So maybe you need to release some people or some things that you're doing, and you need to take a look intuitively as to, well, who or what are you thinking of as I was talking? That's probably it. First thing or person or place or whatever project came to your mind is very likely. And sometimes, it's got nothing to do with obligations to people or responsibility. Sometimes this is talking about your energy. Sometimes there's just alliances or projects or places that there's nothing inherently wrong or bad, but they might be inhibiting your growth. So to look at that and to let those go. Chunky for you, Sag. Okay. Now let's take a look at Capricorn. What do you need to let go of? Oh boy. The Death card. Oh my goodness. Okay, Capricorn, what you need to let go of is Wow. How do I even say this? Getting a feeling of like, obviously there's a death and rebirth about the death card, but what area is that going on in? And for Capricorn, what I feel is it's got to do with your something as big as maybe your worldview, your general values and outlook and philosophy on life is changing, and it's changing in a good way. Even though the death card is going to come in and make you have a crisis of faith, but if you talk to people and you don't brood and hold it inside and let it make you go nuts inside, talk to somebody, talk to people, work through it, because there's a breakthrough at hand as well. And it's going to be expansive. So one idea maybe that you have about yourself or the world that you've been holding on to, and you hold on and you hold on so tight and so tight and so tight. And then one day it just like shatters and you don't believe anything anymore, and you feel that you have a crisis of faith. You don't know what the hell. But underneath that, there's still some deeper things going on that you do believe. And you can be introduced to new things, or it can expand. And you'll have a wider, more alleviating philosophy or inclusive worldview if you allow yourself to go through this. But I think you might need to consult or get, definitely consult friends or get help with that, because it's worth it's worth going through, suffering through this turnaround. This isn't long to play out. And there's always amazing light that comes out of the death card. He's cutting away the strings that bind. Those could be old thoughts, old beliefs, this is the way things are. If you just go, it's not anymore, it doesn't matter. Oh my God, right? All the relief that will come in your life if you just go, oh my gosh, I have permission to change my mind. So I encourage you to go to struggle through it, get some help and go through it and let your life transform. This is really big. I'm surprised. All right, Aquarius, let's take a look. What do you need to release? And you've got good old Prince of Swords. There's someone aggravating you. Somebody who's just clever but really annoying. Can't pin him down. He's not going to change. He's resistant to change or to looking at himself. Probably even if you pointed it out, plain as day, he still wouldn't grasp it. He just likes to make things complicated. His mind is complicated and he's just making everything else complicated. So I'm sure someone comes to mind if I'm saying this. Again, in this case, with this type of person, I suggest backing away. If it's a brother or, your dad or somebody that you can't, well, that's obviously you're not going to cut the relationship. If this is someone you're dating or someone that you work with and you don't have to interact as much or at all, because this guy always makes things harder than they have to be. And he's not trustworthy. That's another reason why I don't like this guy. So, but if it's someone that you're really close to and you don't have a choice, you've got to find a new way of detaching, taking what they say with a huge grain of salt and not reacting, to every little brain fart they have or idea or initiating arguments or whatever they're going to do. Not falling for any of their manipulation, So there's someone there that you just got to really clear the decks with. And Pisces, what do you need to let go of? Okay. There we go. Well, you've got the card of virtue, the sun in Aries. What do you need to let go of? Well, it's funny because this card says virtue, you know. Now, to me, virtue is a complicated word when it comes to combining it with Pisces energy, because what happens is you might be or know somebody who is very virtuous. They're very unselfishly giving. However, sometimes that combo with Pisces can make a martyr. The person who's always sacrificing, and poor them. I give so much, nobody gives to me, poor me. There can be a shadow side of someone who gives, or tries to save everyone. This is deep stuff, but there's an ego need in somebody who has to save people or help people all the time too. It's not always purely virtuous. I don't know why that's coming up for you, unless there's someone around you, or you need to question that. Or if there's anyone around you right now that seems just like so shiny it hurts and nobody sees through them and you do, that could be what's going on. Or if somebody's helping you or helpful to you, but you always feel this stain or this guilt around it. Maybe there's some ego in their giving. I don't know why, but that's what came up to me is ego. So you just want to take a look for people around you that might be annoying or a mystery. Maybe that's the deeper mystery. Take a look at their ego involvement in this. What are they getting out of being that way? And, you know, you can check yourself too, but I'm not going to put pressure and say, oh, you need to check your ego, Pisces. No, I'm not going to say that. But I would say if you are, you know, a helper, giver, trying to always fix or save, just be aware of like the other side of it, that you are also getting something out of it. You're not, you know, maybe you signed up for it or you're choosing to do that. And so you're getting something out of it too. And that's not a bad thing. It's just, it's more honest, I think. And so it'll balance the energy of your giving. If you know, so many people do this. I've been guilty of it. We all, you serve or you help, and then you feel tired or you feel unappreciated at some point during the giving process, or you're trying to fix or save or help and it's not working and you start to feel frustrated. And many people start to feel resentful or frustrated or victimized in their giving process. And then you start to feel bitter and you almost feel like you're being used. And maybe you are, but sometimes you're putting yourself in that position because you got to admit that you chose to go do this. You can choose not to as well. And the virtue card could also ultimately be a message of like, bring it back to yourself, put yourself first again, if you're overgiving. So chunky messages once more. All right, everybody. Well, I hope that overall you feel good about this full moon. It feels to me like it's going to be a nice one. And I just want to wish everybody a beautiful start to spring. And if you're celebrating any of these holidays, then I hope you have a lovely time. Whether you practice anything with your family or solitary, I hope it's peaceful, and I hope that moon in Libra overall brings us a lot of social, positive, chill feelings this weekend. All right, I'll see you on the full moon eclipse, the new moon eclipse on the 30th.